Ever wonder why some guys seem to bulk up quickly while others grind for years with little to show? The truth is, building muscle comes down to two things: doing the right stuff and sticking with it long enough. But the right stuff isn't just hitting the gym 5 times a week or forcing down chicken and eggs at every meal. The real difference comes from the small details you repeat every day. Nail those and your results skyrocket over time. So in this video, I'll give you 10 straightforward but powerful tips to speed up your muscle growth and explain the science behind why they actually work. But first, drop your name in the comments and tell me how long you've been training. And if you're serious about strength and staying pain-free, subscribe and turn on the bell. Your future self will thank you. Want more exclusive perks? Tap join for exclusive workouts and be part of the strongest crew on YouTube. Tip number 10. Prioritize compound lifts. Isolation moves have their place, but they only hit one muscle at a time. Compound exercises, think squats, deadlifts, bench press, pull-ups, recruit multiple muscle groups together. That means you can move heavier weight, which creates more tension in the muscle fibers. And mechanical tension is one of the biggest drivers of growth. Research backs this up. One study in the Journal of Strength and Conditioning Research found that people who trained mostly with compound lifts for 12 weeks gained way more strength and size than those who stuck to isolation work. And it's not just strength. Heavy compound moves create a serious hormonal response. A tough squat session can spike testosterone and growth hormone far more than a leg extension ever could. In fact, testosterone can shoot up to as much as 200% after heavy squats compared to a similar effort isolation exercise. Now, this doesn't mean you should ditch isolation completely. They're great for fixing weak points and adding detail. But if you want maximum muscle, at least half your training should be built on compound lifts. Tip number 9. Eat healthy fats. A lot of people still believe fat is the enemy. That's dead wrong, especially if you're trying to build muscle. Healthy fats are critical because they directly support hormone production, including testosterone, the king of muscle-building hormones. One study in the International Journal of Sports Medicine showed men who ate diets rich in healthy fats for just 6 weeks had significantly higher testosterone than those on low-fat diets. So what should you eat? Go for monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fats. Avocados, olive oil, nuts, seeds, fatty fish like salmon or sardines, and yes, even egg yolks. Omega-3 fats from fish are especially powerful, since they not only help with hormones, but also reduce inflammation, which speeds up recovery after training. Tip number 8. Don't overdo cardio. We've all seen that person who lifts weights for 40 minutes, then grinds out an hour on the treadmill every day. It looks hardcore, but if your goal is muscle growth, that's actually slowing you down. Here's why. Long, intense cardio sessions trigger pathways in your body that clash with the ones responsible for building muscle. In other words, you're sending mixed messages. Lift weights to grow bigger, but run forever to stay light and efficient. On top of that, too much cardio can spike cortisol, the stress hormone. When cortisol stays high for too long, it eats away at muscle and kills recovery. Not exactly what you want after crushing a workout. Mechanical tension, muscle damage, and metabolic stress. These are the 3 key drivers of muscle growth. But here's the thing. You don't need to push every single set to absolute failure. In fact, doing that can quickly backfire, leading to overtraining and injuries. A smarter move? Save failure training for the final exercise of a muscle group or the last set of your big compound lifts. That way, you get the benefits without burning yourself out. Tip number 7. Stay in a caloric surplus. If I could highlight just one tip from this entire list as absolutely non-negotiable, it would be this one. You simply cannot build noticeable muscle without being in a caloric surplus. Even with great genetics, a world-class coach, and top-tier supplements, if you're not eating above your maintenance, your progress will stall. Why? Because muscle growth is an energy-demanding anabolic process. It's one of the most metabolically costly tissues for the body to create and maintain. If your body senses that resources are limited, it will prioritize survival functions like fueling the brain, organs, and daily activity, not building new muscle. So how do you apply this? First, you need to calculate your total daily energy expenditure, TDEE. This is the combination of your basal metabolic rate, the calories your body burns just to keep you alive and functioning, like pumping blood or regulating body temperature, plus the calories you burn from physical activity and training. While online calculators are a good starting point, the most accurate way is to track your food intake and weight consistently for a few weeks to establish your true maintenance level. Once you've found your baseline, add about 300 to 500 calories per day on top of that. This creates a steady, manageable surplus that fuels muscle growth without packing on excess fat. Many beginners make the mistake of overshooting and eating thousands of calories extra, thinking faster progress will follow. In reality, that just leads to fat gain with only a fraction of it being lean muscle. And just as important as the amount is the quality of your calories. This isn't an excuse to binge on fast food, candy, or sodas. Instead, prioritize nutrient-dense whole foods, lean proteins, complex carbs, healthy fats, and micronutrient-rich fruits and vegetables. A clean, well-structured surplus will optimize protein synthesis, accelerate recovery, and minimize fat accumulation. Before we move on, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Staying consistent with evidence-based, science-backed information like this will ensure you keep progressing in a healthy, sustainable way on your bodybuilding journey. Tip number 6. Train close to muscle failure. Look around any gym and you'll notice a common mistake. A lot of people just go through the motions. They pick a comfortable weight, crank out some half-hearted reps, and rack the bar while still feeling fresh. While this may keep them active and healthy, it won't do much for building serious muscle. The science of hypertrophy is crystal clear. If you want to spark meaningful changes in muscle size and strength, you need to push your muscles far enough to force adaptation. This is the foundation of the progressive overload principle. And one of the most effective ways to apply it is by training close to muscular failure. But what exactly does that mean? Training close to failure means reaching the point in a set where you could only perform 1 or 2 more reps with perfect form before completely giving out. This level of effort ensures maximum recruitment of muscle fibers, especially the type 2 fast twitch fibers, the ones with the highest growth potential. A study published in the Journal of Applied Physiology confirmed this, showing that sets performed near failure stimulated a much greater anabolic response compared to sets stopped far away from that threshold, even when the same weight was used. The reason is simple. Training close to failure maximizes the 3 primary mechanisms of hypertrophy: mechanical tension, muscle damage, and metabolic stress. Together, these signals tell your body it has no choice but to adapt by getting bigger and stronger. Now, while training close to muscle failure is essential, it's equally important to understand that pushing yourself to absolute failure on every set and every exercise is not only unnecessary, but also risky. Doing this too often can lead to overtraining, stall your progress, and significantly increase your chances of injury. A much smarter and more sustainable strategy is to save true failure training for specific situations. For example, you can apply it on the last set of a compound lift or towards the final exercise for a given muscle group. This way, you reap the muscle-building benefits of near-failure training without overwhelming your nervous system or sacrificing recovery. Tip number 5. Make protein a priority in every single meal. Hitting your daily protein target is important, but what most people overlook is that how you distribute that protein throughout the day is just as crucial as the total amount. Here's why. Every time you consume an adequate dose of protein, you stimulate muscle protein synthesis, the process where your body repairs and builds new muscle fibers. However, this response isn't unlimited. There's a ceiling effect. Eating 60 grams of protein at once doesn't double your gains compared to eating 30 grams, because your body can only use so much protein for muscle building at a time. Splitting those 60 grams into 2 separate meals of 30 grams each will provide 2 separate anabolic signals, and therefore more growth potential. By spacing your protein evenly in 4 to 6 meals throughout the day, each about 3 to 4 hours apart, you keep your body in an anabolic state for longer, maximizing muscle growth opportunities. In practical terms, aim for 20 to 30 grams of high-quality protein per meal. Ideal sources include lean meats, fish, eggs, and dairy. For vegetarians and vegans, smart combinations of legumes, whole grains, and soy-based products work well. And don't forget, protein supplements like whey can be a convenient backup when you're short on time or struggling to hit your target. Tip number 4. Use intensity techniques to keep muscles guessing. The human body is an incredible adaptation machine. Give it the same training stimulus over and over, and it quickly becomes more efficient at handling it. Great for survival, but not so great for continued muscle growth. To keep progressing, you need to occasionally increase the challenge beyond just lifting and lowering a weight. That's where intensity techniques come in. These are advanced methods designed to increase muscle fatigue, metabolic stress, and time under tension, all of which amplify the hypertrophy signal. Some of the most effective ones include drop sets, perform a set near failure, then immediately reduce the weight by 20 to 30% and continue without rest. Forced reps. Have a partner help you squeeze out a few extra reps after you'd normally fail on your own. Rest-pause training. Take a set close to failure, rest just 10 to 15 seconds, and then push out a few more reps, repeating this cycle 2 to 3 times. Isometric holds. Pause at the hardest part of the lift and hold the contraction for 5 to 10 seconds. Partial reps. Focus only on the most challenging portion of the range of motion, where your muscles work the hardest. Each of these methods stresses your muscles in unique ways. For example, drop sets are fantastic for ramping up metabolic stress and creating a deep pump, while slow and controlled reps maximize total time under tension. By rotating these techniques into your training, you challenge your muscles with new stimuli and break through growth plateaus. Tip number 3. Master proper form and execution. Too many people go to the gym chasing ego lifts, stacking on heavy weights they can't properly handle just to look strong. But when it comes to hypertrophy, good form always beats sloppy heavy lifting. Correct execution isn't just about preventing injury, though that's obviously important. It's about directing the training stimulus exactly where you want it. With proper technique, you ensure that the target muscle is doing the bulk of the work, which means more effective stimulation and better growth. On the other hand, poor form usually shifts the load to other muscles or joints, reducing the effectiveness of the exercise and increasing injury risk. In short, lifting with control and precision will get you far better long-term results than chasing numbers with bad form. A really interesting study, published in the European Journal of Applied Physiology, compared muscle activation during the barbell bench press when performed with strict, proper form versus using sloppy technique but heavier loads. The results were eye-opening. Even though the lifters using correct form had to reduce the weight, in some cases by up to 15% lighter, their pectoral muscles, the main target of the exercise, showed significantly greater activation. On the other hand, the group that sacrificed form to push heavier weights ended up shifting much of the load to their shoulders and triceps. In other words, the very muscle they were trying to grow, the chest, wasn't receiving the maximum benefit. And this principle doesn't just apply to the bench press. Take squats, for example. Performing squats with proper technique and full range of motion, going deep enough to engage the quadriceps, glutes, and hamstrings, activates far more muscle fibers than doing a half squat with a big, impressive-looking load. Unfortunately, one of the most common mistakes in the gym is the obsession with adding weight before actually mastering the movement pattern. Here's the truth. Your muscles don't know how much weight is on the bar. They only know the tension and stress being applied to them. That means if you want to maximize the effectiveness of your training, you need to prioritize clean execution above all else. Lifting with good technique not only produces superior gains in the long run, but also minimizes unnecessary stress on your joints, reduces the likelihood of injury, and allows for more consistent, sustainable progress. Because, let's face it, there's nothing more frustrating than being forced to stop training and watching your hard-earned gains disappear because of an injury that could have been avoided with proper form. Tip number 2, train each muscle more frequently. One of the most persistent myths in bodybuilding is the old-school bro split routine, training each muscle group only once per week. Think chest on Monday, back on Tuesday, shoulders on Wednesday, legs on Thursday, arms on Friday. While this structure is popular, science shows it's far from optimal for maximizing hypertrophy. Here's why. After an intense training session, muscle protein synthesis, or MPS, the process where your muscles repair and grow, stays elevated for only 24 to 48 hours. After that, it drops back to baseline. So if you only train a muscle group once per week, you're essentially leaving it without a significant anabolic stimulus for the remaining 5 or 6 days. That's a lot of wasted time where no meaningful growth is being triggered. The trick, however, lies in managing volume and intensity properly. If you're used to doing 16 sets for chest in one big session, you don't just double that and do 16 sets twice a week. Instead, you'd split it. For example, 8 sets on Monday and another 8 on Thursday. This approach ensures you still hit the same total weekly volume, but with more frequent anabolic spikes, which is far more effective for growth. This adjustment in frequency can be especially powerful if you've hit a plateau. By simply increasing how often you train a muscle, you provide a fresh stimulus that reignites adaptation and helps you break through stagnation. Tip number 1, supplement with creatine. Finally, let's talk about a supplement that truly deserves a permanent spot in your stack: creatine monohydrate. Unlike many flashy supplements that overpromise and underdeliver, creatine has decades of solid scientific evidence supporting both its effectiveness and safety. By supplementing with creatine, you can increase your muscle stores of this compound by about 20 to 30%, which translates into noticeable improvements in strength, power, and performance. Put simply, you'll be able to lift heavier weights and crank out more high-quality reps, the very foundation of building more muscle. But the benefits don't stop there. Creatine also has direct effects on muscle biology. It enhances muscle cell hydration, pulling more water into the muscle fibers. This creates a more anabolic environment, meaning your body is primed for growth. Creatine monohydrate is incredibly affordable. On average, a daily dose costs less than a single unit of your local currency, making it one of the most cost-effective performance enhancers available. So if you're serious about maximizing muscle growth, creatine isn't optional, it's essential. The recommended dosage is quite straightforward, typically between 3 to 5 grams daily, taken consistently. Research has shown that creatine is safe for long-term, continuous use, with studies tracking individuals over several years without negative effects. One key factor to remember is that creatine works most effectively when it's consumed alongside a meal rich in carbohydrates, since the release of insulin helps carry creatine directly into the muscles. Thank you so much for staying with us until this point, and may God bless you, my friend.